sports 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 has the same effect at times that politics does. It's not supposed to, but it does. And that effect is it'll show the true nature of somebody in certain situations. Depending on which candidate you support in a election, in politics, depending if you're a Republican, depending on if you're a Democrat, whatever you are, usually politics will show you, especially a heated topic or a topic that a divisive topic. It shows you the true nature of a person, or the true nature of a person, and how a person really views something. And the same thing with sports in general. Say your favorite team is going up against their rival, right? And your team loses. Some people are liable to say whatever they want because they're just in the moment. They just feel vindicated. They feel like they need to get it out. And what they usually say is how they feel. If you needed to question, or if you ever questioned if there was racism in sports, this LSU Iowa game should have put all those questions to bed. You see, let me first explain to people what sports are. Sports is a game of emotion. You have people playing at the highest level of whatever sport they play. And with that highest level comes bravado, comes confidence, comes ego, comes the fact of my whole game plan was to stop you or to score on you, or if we're talking about like boxing or fighting, to beat you. And in that, things are said, things are done. Doesn't mean that, they're bad people. It means, trash talking is a thing. People love trash talking when it comes from their favorite player, or when it comes from two boxers at the weigh-in, or two UFC fighters at the weigh-in, or trash talk. You love trash talk when it suits your team or when it's from your favorite player. But what we've seen is that when trash talk comes from a player, or comes from a person, or comes from a team that you don't like, or that may not fit the mold that you want it to fit in, or that people want it to fit in, that's when people start to really talk. You see, you never hear anything about Steph Curry pointing at his ring in the third quarter or pointing at his ring finger at in the third quarter of a NBA Finals, or when he shoots the ball and he turns around when the ball's in midair. In fact, we champion that. Or when LeBron James comes out and says, "I feel like we're going to win because I'm the best player in the world." Whoa, okay. Or when the Memphis Grizzlies always got something to say, even though, a lot of people say you shouldn't really be talking. They don't get vindicated. They don't get villainized. I don't even know if villainized is a word, but I'm going to say it. They don't get villainized. The conversation around LSU winning the championship has been a lot less about their actual accomplishment than it has been about the trash talk from Angel Reese that was geared towards Caitlin Clark. And again, it shows people's character because what Angel Reese did, of course, was the John Cena or Tony Ayo, depending on who you want to give it to. John Cena, You Can't See Me. Or Angel Reese, I think she did it in the Final Four where she sharpied a ring on her finger, and she even did it against Caitlin Clark. She put the ring, and she said, "This isn't a one man band or one player band over here. It's a teams thing." Boy, she got killed. Keith Olbermann had something to say. I don't even think he talks about sports anymore. Dave Portnoy or whatever, the head of Barstool, has something to say. Which, by the way, I don't know if he's the man that should be talking about anything. All year, and what's ironic about this whole situation is Don Staley said this just a game ago, just a couple days ago, after South Carolina lost to Iowa, and how the media and how people discuss teams that they don't like and discuss teams that they can't really identify with. All year, I've heard LSU is a team full of thugs. I've heard LSU isn't that good. I've heard LSU, their best player, Angel Reese, she's hood. She's from the streets. This LSU team is from the streets. We know about Alexis Morgan's past in Baylor. She didn't deserve a second, third, or fourth chance. We heard the only reason why they're winning is because they're more street and urban. People love that U word, urban. Hell, one of the biggest, I questioned almost this entire year why Angel Reese, who finished the year averaging a double-double and having the most double-doubles in SEC history, why she wasn't considered, even close to considered National Player of the Year. Now, I'm not saying Caitlin Clark didn't deserve it. But when we were talking about National Player of the Year, it felt like Angel Reese just wasn't doing nothing. Then of course they try to tag on. Well, look at their out of schedule conference was weak. I will say that, but they beat every single person they had to beat, except two. You have to be careful. No. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to understand Angel Reese. You don't have to understand that what she did was absolutely okay. And what's even funnier is the same people that's calling her, a piece of shit and classless didn't say anything about Caitlin Clark. And she did it the game before against Louisville. Oh no, the 2 games before against Louisville. She told a player, "You guys are up. You guys are down 15. Shut up." She did the whole "You can't see me" in front of Haley Van Lith, whatever her name is, Haley, for LSU for Louisville. She did that in her but nobody called her classless. Nobody called her classless. And people think I'm only supporting Angel Reese because she's black or because she's from Maryland. I'm supporting her because she deserves to be supported. And she has done nothing wrong this entire year. No one from LSU has done anything wrong this entire year. LSU deserved to be here, and they deserve to be championed. They deserve to be to be viewed as a champion, because that's what they are. I don't give a damn about a trash talk. Do you know this? Do you know the stuff that is said on a basketball court? Do you know the names that are being what she did was nothing. What Angel Reese did was nothing compared to some of the things that are said on a basketball court, preferably a male basketball court. In fact, you ever heard somebody block a shot, what they say? I'm not going to say it here, but you ever heard when someone blocks a shot, what they say? You ever heard when LeBron James is guarding somebody and you know they're not a good shooter? Like when Patrick Beverly the other day shot in front of LeBron. Hell no. Hell no. What Angel Reese did was nothing. And shouts out to Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark came out and said that nobody should really criticize Angel Reese. She did nothing wrong. If you hoop, you know she did nothing wrong. Angel Reese was just being Angel Reese. And she was being a damn good basketball player. Don Staley said this. The way that the media covers and the way that people discuss dominant teams that you can't associate with, or that you may not like because they're different from you, they always got to put a title on it. For instance, most of UConn's best players are African American or black. I haven't heard not one person talk about how street they are, or how they have a team full of thugs or they're bullies. Not one person. I've heard their size is a problem. I've heard they're a dominant team. I heard that they are a complete team. But why don't I hear this? Why didn't I hear the same thing when they talked about South Carolina all year? A team full of bullies. I heard that a lot. Why didn't I hear that when they talked about LSU? LSU is one of the loudest teams all year, but they deserve to be, because they were destroying people. The only two games they lost was against South Carolina, and I forgot who it was in the tournament, but they were up like 16 and just lost the lead. Why didn't I hear how dominant they were? I heard, a team full of thugs, a team full of, a bullies team. A team that'll strangle you. I heard that too. Once they got the league, they just strangle you. What? Again, it goes back to my point. You have to be careful of how we describe women's sports. And sports in general, bro. Because the same words and the same language that we use for the men's side, or the lack of criticism that we use for the men's side, needs to be the same on the women's side. Again, all I heard, I've barely heard how dominant LSU was in this tournament run. I barely heard how dominant they were in the national championship. I barely heard the fact that they were the first team in women's national championship history to score over 100 points. I haven't heard that they were one of the first. It was the most viewed women's national championship ever. I haven't really heard that they had more viewers than the men's, I believe. I haven't really heard the fact of Angel Reese deserved to be the most improved player, most outstanding player, and not the fact of her. I haven't heard anything about how Alexis Morris, how she didn't work at Baylor, how she didn't work at Rutgers, but she revived her career at LSU and now is a champion. I didn't hear any of that. Well, I barely heard any of that. You know what I heard? Angel Reese, she's classless, and she shouldn't have done that. She shouldn't have done the same thing that the player she did it to did it just 2 games ago. Or the fact of, it's remarkable how, Alexis Morris is able to bounce back because she shouldn't be playing after, getting kicked off of Kim Mulkey's team at Baylor. They want to villainize a team that deserves nothing but praise. Nothing but praise. LSU deserves all the praise that they get. And again, shouts out to LSU for winning the national championship. Oh man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.